Hi, this is Cas Anvar. I play Alex Kamal on The Expanse, and right now you're watching Mr. Media.
I'm Bob Andelman, and this is Mr. Media Interview. You can see, hear, and read more than 1,200 of my previous celebrity interviews at MrMedia.com. That's MRmedia.com. Subscribe to the show on YouTube, Apple Podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Mixcloud, Alexa Podcast, or Stitcher, and follow me on Twitter and Facebook. And if you like the show, please tell the world with a 5-star review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. On today's show, I'll talk to actor Cas Anvar, star of The Expanse, now in its 3rd season on Sci-Fi. Stick around. In an era of the ever-expanding Marvel Cinematic Universe and an endless stream of new Star Wars movies, it might surprise some people to learn that some of the best and most consistent space-based science fiction is being produced for television. For example, Netflix just released one of its most surprising and compelling new series, the rebooted Lost in Space, of all things. And over on Sci-Fi, the 3rd season of The Expanse is well underway and continuing to blow minds in the epic galactic battle between Earthers and Martians. The Expanse is an unusual show in that it started slow, seemingly headed in one way, then another, and was still given a 2nd season to get its act together. And boy did it. The writing in Season 2 made sense of the various threads from Season 1 and gave the show a grounding it may have lacked the first time around. It also jettisoned actor Thomas Jane, the star of the show when it launched. His departure immediately created new storylines and stars, including my guest today, Cas Anvar, who plays Alex Kamal. Anvar has dozens of acting credits, most recently appearing in the 3rd season of FX's The Strain. Cas Anvar, welcome to Mr. Media.
Howdy, howdy. Good to be here.
Nice to see you. Congratulations on the growing success of The Expanse. I have to admit, as I said, I never dreamed that we'd be sitting here talking about Season 3 when I was watching Season 1.
Right. No, it's definitely, this is a space opera. This show is not a procedural. It's not a one-off. It's not something you can just jump into in the middle of it. You got to follow it. And the 1st season definitely is a world-building season. It's a slow burn. I usually tell people to watch the first 4 episodes in a row and then they'll be hooked because that's when the action starts. But you need to establish Earth, Mars, and the Belter societies, which takes the 1st season really to get us, the audience, into the heads of these 3 different factions of humanity. And then by the end of Season 1, we're ready for all hell to break loose. And that's why Season 2 kicked off. And we think Season 3 is even more explosive and more exciting. And you have no idea where this is heading. Like you said it started off in one direction and took us in another direction, and then Season 2 kind of grabbed Season 3, and then if we are blessed and fortunate enough to get into a Season 4, you won't even believe what happens in Season 4.
Okay, good. So you're excited. You're actually, you're not just picking up a check. You actually sound like a man excited by his show.
Well, I'd be watching this show. I'd be watching this show every single week.
Oh, well, in that case, you want to tell us what happens? No. Tell us a little bit about how your character, Alex Kamal, the pilot, how has he evolved in the same way that I talked about the show has changed?
Yeah, no, Alex has grown a lot. I mean, I don't know if he's grown more than the other characters, but he's grown a lot. Like, his arc I've said this before, he was a self-proclaimed glorified bus driver is how he saw himself when he was working on the Canterbury. And he was lost. He was misguided. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know what his purpose was. He was a bad family man. He was a bad father. He's a bad Martian. All he knew is he loved to fly. All he knew is he liked to be in that seat. And he just couldn't get his head together and figure it out. That's how he started. And then all the stuff that happened to him. Oops, I might be losing you in a second. 1 second. Oh. Are you there?
Yeah, wait 1 second for the video come back up. Wait a minute. You're frozen.
That's what happens when you push buttons that you're not supposed to.
Hang on.
On your computer.
Let's see. We need to bring your video. Oh, there you're back. There you are. All right. So
Yeah.
you were saying.
And keep your hands off.
Yep, hands off. Okay, so you were saying that Alex was a bad family man. He didn't know where he was going.
Yeah. And then season 2, all the crazy crap that happened to us, all the conspiracies and the escalations and the efforts and attempts to instigate war and all that, we got caught in the middle of all that. And then my new family's lives got put on the line, and he had to step it up. He had to step up, and in order to save them, we all had to. Like we none of us would be alive if we all hadn't been together. Yeah, every single one of us has saved the entire group multiple times. And we only could do that if we stepped up to realize our full potential. And Alex has come to realize that, they didn't really think he was much. They couldn't, back at the academy when he was first training, no one gave him really the credit that he was due. And he literally is one of the best pilots ever. He's definitely like one of the best pilots in the entire system. And he never really got a chance. He never got acknowledged for that. He never got a chance to prove himself. And only because of a life and death situation was he ever forced to prove it. And that forced him to grow and to heal and to change and to evolve. And not all of it is pretty, as people who've been watching season 3 have seen. Season 3 is all about Alex kind of coming to terms with his shortcomings, and that ain't easy, man. That is not an easy thing for a man to do, to acknowledge all of his failures. And but it proves that he is growing as a man. So the kind of scared, insecure, lost, kind of misfit that he was in season 1 is now being replaced by this kind of seasoned, confident, matured, self-actualized, realized, and I'll call him a family man because that's what's most important to him, is his new family. He's been called the glue that holds the Rocinante together. That's how people see him, and I kind of agree with that.
Well, Alex has a scene in this 4th episode of season 3 where he's dealing with some Martians, and we basically get a little more perspective on him. He talks about, I put in my time, I did 20 years, right? And you get the sense of a little more depth, how long he's come along. Because I never thought of him as being that old and having that kind of experience. I thought that that gave a little more perspective than maybe we
He's
had
the
before.
oldest. He's the oldest member of the crew, for sure. He definitely has life experience. He has an entire career behind him. He's on a new career now. He has a wife. He's got a family. He's had a whole other life. He's like on his second life now, or even his third right now. And that's part of the reason why he has so much perspective to be able to offer the team on a human level. Holden's the born leader. Naomi's the genius. Amos is the survivor, the soldier,
the comic relief.
Class clown. And Alex is the writers call him the heart and soul. And part of the reason why is because his existence and his whole life has been so human. His challenges, his backstories, everything about what made him who he is so human, and it's all the things that all the people out there watching the show can identify with, all the human challenges, all the sacrifices, all the pain, all the loss. It's not I got brought up on the streets of Baltimore, and or I did this in the military academy, or that, terrorism, this and that. It's like everyone has these amazing dramatic backstories. Alex's is not. Alex's is a human kind of relatable backstory, but it's equally painful. But he's carried it this far, and it's allowing him to kind of bring that experience to the table with the team.
Is this the best role you've ever had?
I think it is best. Yeah, it is the most enjoyable. It's the closest to myself. It's the first time I haven't had to put on some. Well, I guess I'm putting on a little bit of an accent, but it's the first time I've got to play probably the closest to myself. And I love this character. I love his humanity. I love, I'm a huge sci-fi fan and a nerd and a geek, and that whole world is such a dream to me. So to be able to play the swashbuckling fighter pilot is like a dream for me. That right there is exciting. But then to play this really human character that is growing and learning and evolving and not perfect, but heroic, and he's trying, and everything is so well crafted and so well written. Definitely one of the best experiences of my career.
Am I wrong in saying that Thomas Jane's departure last season created a lot of oxygen in the scripts for someone like yourself or Steven or Dominique, Wes?
I mean, there's definitely more space because we had those three distinct storylines that were happening. But remember, when the Miller storyline started to diminish, the Bobby storyline started to come up. So, and she's a major part of season 3. She's a major part of the series, and so any oxygen that existed might be taken up by Bobby Draper. However, I will say that it really clearly we have put our captain is our driving force now, because the Holden storyline is kind of what everything revolves around.
Yeah, but I kind of got the sense, and I'm not giving anything away because nothing really happened, but I get a sense from this 4th episode that there's a connection between Alex and Bobby that might be explored going forward.
Yeah, I think it's a logical assumption. I mean, the only 2 Martians in the cast, both of them are outcasts, both of them are lost, both of them don't really have access to their home, both of them needing to bond with someone from their home world. I think there's a really nice chemistry between the actress and myself, Frankie Adams. She has such she's actually a Maori from New Zealand, and there's such an amazing energy that she brings with her wherever she goes. Whenever she walks into a room, she just has this radiant, embracing energy, and it's really fun to work with. Really, really fun. And that chemistry, I think, shows on screen. And I think it's a great chemistry to have between these 2 Martians that are kind of like, oh, hey, I know you, let's bond. And on top of that, she is the elite of the elite of the elite of the Martian military. Like this is like a space enthusiast meeting Neil Armstrong. It's like she is like recon Marine in the power armor, and that's like something for Alex to like be in awe of. She's like as good as it gets for a military man.
She also has this unique chemistry with Shora as well.
Oh my God, yeah, the 2 of them together, they're hilarious. Shora has some really good relationships with Bobby and with Kodiar, played by Nick. Those are just some great scenes.
Well, before we wrap up, can you give us any hint what may lie ahead for Alex in the weeks to come?
I mean, this season really is a season for Alex to kind of step up to the plate and take responsibility for himself. Take responsibility for himself as a family man. Like, and family, I mean that in the sense of every sense of the word family, including the Rossi crew as his family. That's his theme for this year, and he gets put through the ringer. And it doesn't stop. Like it's just right to the end. He is constantly trying to keep his family together, and he is always being faced with things like everything that scares him the most. He's confronted with time after time after time. Like it's just never easy. So it's really a season for him to just step up
and maybe take a beating here and there.
Oh.
All right. Well, folks, listen. You can see Cas Anvar every Wednesday night in the Expanse on Sci-Fi. Cas, you've got a website, Twitter, Facebook. Can people find you online?
Yeah, it's all my name. CasAnvar.com, Cas Anvar on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook.
Excellent. Well, Cas Anvar, pleasure to meet you, and thank you so much for joining us on Mr. Media today.
The pleasure is all mine.
To believe her, a bad idea to believe her. Turn up the stereo receiver. Turn up the stereo receiver.
Mr. Media is recorded live before a studio audience full of Martians and Earthers who never get tired of making jokes about Uranus. From the new media capital of the world, St. Petersburg, Florida.
Hi, this is Rich Scheidner. And if you've ever wondered what it was like to be a stand-up comedian in the 1980s, I'm going to do you a big favor. Instead of billions of dollars for a time machine, you can just spend $24.95 and buy my new book, Kicking Through the Ashes, My Life as a Stand-Up in the 1980s Comedy Boom. It will save you money and give you thrills. It will take you there. Go to my website, richscheidner.com, go to amazon.com, and buy this book.